Alright, a couple of questions have come up regarding issues with the CVS simulation that you're putting together for your next assignment. Just a few quick points. Number one, you can do what you need to do using the elements that we have gone over in these videos, with one major exception, and that is the fact that in the CVS scenario you want to have different arrival rates depending on what time of day you're looking at. And so I'm going to show you very quickly how to do that. First of all, I'm going to open the Create block and mention a couple of things in the dialogues here. The first thing you'll note under the Create tab in the Create block is that the block is now creating items randomly, and the time between arrivals has been expressed as an exponential distribution with a mean, in this case, of 15 minutes. You can actually, that should have been 10 minutes. You can change this average inter-arrival time depending on the hour of the day. And the way you go about doing that is, if you notice here on the top of this drop-down menu, you actually have 5 choices. We have selected Create Items Randomly, which is the default. But these blocks can create items, and they can also create values. So for example, we're using an exponential distribution here, a mean time between arrivals of 10 minutes. 10 is obviously a value. I can use a separate block to create values by schedule. So I can have it create a value at 8 o'clock, another one at 9 o'clock, another one at 10 o'clock, and so on. So that's what I'm going to do. But we're going to leave this one alone. Another comment I wanted to make on the times between arrivals. The basic choices, or the most commonly used choices, are exponential, which is sort of the default. If you're looking at the sort of how long it takes to resolve some conflicts, and you know there's an upper bound, so you don't want to use an exponential distribution, it's pretty safe just to use a uniform real distribution and have it go, say, between 1 and 3 days or something like that. Alternatively, as I mentioned last week in class, you can use an empirical distribution. If you have actual data to work with. In this case we don't, so we're just going to have to sort of make it up as we go along in some sense. Okay, so we've talked about that. What we want to do is we want to enter different values at different points in time to serve as the mean of this distribution. The way we do that is we close this. You'll notice there's a little tab here in the lower left corner of the Create block. If I pull that down, you'll get a few choices, one of which is mean. Now, if you're using a distribution with 2 parameters, you'll get an extra tab here, one for each parameter. We only need to play with the mean parameter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Create block, I'll copy it, paste it down here. Let me open the dialog for this block. For this particular block, I'm going to have it create values by schedule, and I have to tell it the schedule. Now, for this walk-in clinic we were looking at, it ran for 4 hours, so I'm going to have 4 rows in this table. At time 0, we were using a value of a customer every 10 minutes. Let's say it changes at 9 o'clock, so meaning after 60 minutes, maybe things pick up, so the average time between patients might drop, say, to 8 minutes. At 9 o'clock, maybe it gets even a little busier than that, so I'll have the average time between arrivals drop to 7 minutes. At 11 o'clock, things start winding down, so after 180 minutes, I'll have the time between arrivals drop back to 15 minutes. And so what that does is it creates these values, one for 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I will connect the output from that guy to the mean tab on this Create block, and what will happen now as we run this is at 8 o'clock you'll have one arrival rate, 9 o'clock a different one, 10 o'clock a different one, and so on. So that, I think, is a neat little trick you can use to help you in your CVS simulations. The other things that you need to do, the elements that we've covered are sufficient to get, I think, to get done what you need done. You want to track waiting costs, you want to track perhaps cycle times, and you want to track utilization levels, and you can track utilization. The resource pool block tracks the utilization level of those resources for you, and that's the major thing that you need. Maybe one last item we can look at is when you create these items, we are creating, you can assign them an attribute, which is their arrival time, and then you can use information block later on and you can use a tab off the information block to calculate the cycle times for you as we've gone over. So with what we've covered, you can calculate cycle times, you can calculate waiting times, you can calculate utilization levels, you can have different arrival rates depending on the time of day, and you can have the resource pools. Those are the major elements you need to get this job done. As always, if any additional questions arise, email me or call the office, and we'll take care of those as they come up. Thanks.